This is Radiology Flashcard Set 7. We would like to thank anonymous contributor. 9 of these 10 cases have been contributed by that person. We would like to appreciate his efforts towards radiology case videos. Coming directly into the cases, this is case 1. This is a elderly male patient who presented with thunderclap headache. You can appreciate a T2 flow void in the region of anterior communicating artery. In MR angiogram, you are able to see a saccular outpouching in the anterior communicating artery. You can also see rounding of the frontal horns, periventricular ooze, ischemic foci here are seen. This is the periventricular ooze again. In the anterior interhemispheric fissure, you are able to see the deposition of the blood. In perisylvian region, you are able to see the deposition of the blood. In intraventricular location, you are able to see the deposition of the blood. In coronal, again, you can appreciate the intraventricular blood and also the perisylvian anterior temporal blood. So this is a classical case of ACOM aneurysmal rupture which is been identified on MR angiogram. Normally, a CT angiogram or a digital subtraction angiogram is necessary to diagnose a ruptured berry aneurysm or a ACOM aneurysm. However, when aneurysms are large, which are more than 5 mm, can be easily picked on MRI. Coming to the next case, this case you are able to appreciate the air within the intraconal compartment. You are able to see the lens dislocation. So there is fracture and displacement of the bony fragment into the orbit. So this is because of trauma to the eyeball. You are able to appreciate the blow-in fracture. So this is a classical case of blow-in fracture with lens dislocation. Coming to another interesting case, we found a ring enhancing lesion in the cerebellar hemisphere with adjacent vasogenic edema, which was causing effacement of the fourth ventricle. So this is classical irregular crenulated ring enhancing type of lesion. There was no T2 hypointensity or a peripheral rim of T1 hyperintensity to call it as a tuberculoma. So we thought in an elderly male it is definitely going to be carcinoma. We performed a whole body chest and abdomen scan where we could identify the GE junction growth. Here this is the GE junction growth. So this is a classical case of stomach carcinoma with cerebellar metastasis. There was also bilateral lung metastasis. This is another interesting case where there is sclerosis in atlantoaxial joint with decreased joint space. You can also see the hyperintensities in coronal stir image. You are able to see the hyperintensities in dense and the narrowing of atlantoaxial joint. In T1 imaging, there is evidence of a pannus anterior to the clinoid. There is increased atlanto-dense interval. In progressive cases, you can appreciate basilar invagination and cranial settling in such cases. So classical cases of cervical rheumatoid arthritis. So interesting abdomen case. So here you are able to see a fatty attenuating lesion with severe adjacent fat stranding adjacent to the descending colon. You can see a central vessel-like structure here. So this is a classical case of epiploic appendigitis. Epiploic appendigitis are because of inflammation of appendages of the large bowel. These things are more seen in rectosigmoid junction. They can also be seen commonly in ileocecal junction. Descending colon is a relatively rarer location for this entity. Differential diagnosis of we should always rule out omental infarct, which is of larger size and which is more centrally located. So here you're in a topogram, you're able to see the relatively hyperinflated left lung with some amount of streaky opacities and bronchiectasis. You're able to appreciate classical situs inversus totalis. So this is a case of Cartaginer syndrome. There was patient also had chronic sinusitis, situs inversus, there is bronchiectasis. So this is all because of lack of ciliary function and mucus impaction. You get these findings. This is a classical case of immotile cilia syndrome or Carter-Jenner syndrome, patients generally have infertility. So another interesting case, you are seeing multiple cystic lesions with intervening normal parenchyma in the both lung fields. There is some amount of fibrosis and pleural thickening. So you are able to see the central dot-like structure within the intervening parenchyma. You are able to appreciate a pneumothorax, very tiny pneumothorax here. So this is a classic case of lymphangioliomyomatosis. In a case of tuberous sclerosis, you can get a diffuse bilateral thin wall cyst with normal intervening lung parenchyma. You can also see ground glass opacities related to hemorrhage. There can be septal thickening related to lymphatic obstruction. Pneumothorax and pleural effusion can be seen. Lymphadenopathy and renal angiomyolipomas also should be looked for in a screening abdomen to see the association. Differential diagnoses are pulmonary Langerhans cystocytosis, Witt-Hurd-Dube syndrome, and lymphoid interstitial pneumonia. So another interesting case, there is pneumatization of clinoid with a large sphenoethmoidal cell, also called Vonadi cell. There is dehiscent optic nerve canal bone. So this is optic nerve dehiscence within the Vonadi cell. So this is a very rare variant. You are able to see it bilaterally. If this is important to demonstrate, because in FS surgery, if they go through a Vonadi cell, they may accidentally damage this optic nerves, resulting into a catastrophic blindness. Interesting case, here you are able to appreciate in cervical spine MRI diffuse thickening of the posterior longitudinal ligament extending from C2 to C4 level. It is interrupted and it is causing severe compression on the cord, resulting in myelomalacia. Here you are able to appreciate the myelomalacia significantly. Bony canal and disc level canal stenosis is seen. So this is a classical case of ossified posterior longitudinal ligament. They can also be associated with fluorosis. So flowing multi-level ossification posterior to vertebral bodies with minimal degenerative disc disease and absent facet joint ankylosis, resulting in cord compression and myelomalacia. This is classical description of ossified posterior longitudinal ligament. Coming to the last interesting case, you are able to see an enhancing lesion at the orbital apex, which is hypointense and coronal T2 weighted image. So this brilliantly enhancing lesion, you are able to appreciate here. This lesion is causing compression over the optic nerve, resulting in optic nerve atrophy. So this is a classical case of optic nerve atrophy due to anterior clinoid process metastasis on right side due to a pre-operated primary thyroid carcinoma, but patient presented with recurrence, and this is an enhancing lesion seen here. Thank you very much. Hope this video was useful for you.